A member of the House of Representatives, Ahmadu JAHA, has said that insecurity has become a cash cow in Nigeria. JAHA, a member of the All Progressives Congress, APC, spoke on the floor of the lower legislative chamber on Thursday. He was contributing to a motion sponsored by Shehu Balarabe, a lawmaker from Kaduna State, on the killings in the state. JAHA said despite the huge funds allocated to Nigerian army, insecurity in the country has continued unabated. Take a look.
Only 60 billion for capital expenditure. The remaining 406 billion were for recurrent expenditure. In addition to this, there was 100 billion naira allocated for Operation Lafia Doli. In 2021, we budgeted 460 billion for Nigerian army alone. Only 29 billion was for capital expenditure. The remaining were for recurrent expenditure. In 2022, we budgeted 571 billion for Nigerian army alone. Only 37 billion is for capital expenditure. The remaining were recurrent expenditure. Mr. Speaker, the truth of the matter is security in Nigeria has become a cash cow business. I am not willing to go without taking my own, and he is not willing to go without taking his own, and the other person is not willing to leave until when he got his own turn. Mr. Speaker, it's a cash cow business. They don't want it to finish because they will realize that everybody's attention was diverted towards Northeast. Okay, let them relieve Northeast to some extent and move to Northwest. After Northwest, they move to Southwest. Before you realize what is happening, the whole country is gutted with security challenges. Another thing, somebody brought the issue of National Security Advisor. We are making one mistake in making appointment, particularly in security architect. One, there's no way you can appoint a Major General or Brigadier General to be a National Security Advisor and issue directives to a Lieutenant General. Ideally, if you are going to appoint National Security Advisor or Defense Minister, try and appoint a full-fledged Nigerian Army General who was one time Chief of Defense Staff. Nobody clinched that particular position until when he was appointed, so everybody must comply. Two, a member in this floor wrote a letter of commendation to one of the service chiefs that he is doing good. I got the copy of the letter. I know the honorable member, but I know the time I will scandalize him to the extent that the whole world will look down on him. I will not mention his name. I will deal with him personally. I said, I am ready to give out my life if people in the Northeast can live in peace. Mr. Speaker, it's a betrayal to 359 members for a honorable member to write a commendation letter to a service chief commending him of doing good job while Nigerians are dying. Only 60
Well, all right. Right now, that was Ahmadu JAHA, and we have in the studio with us Jonathan Onoja, a security expert, to talk further about the rise in insecurity in Nigeria despite increasing yearly government allocation. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Hey, good morning. It's my pleasure.
All right. So first of all, can you give us a general assessment of insecurity in Nigeria? And, you know, once you're done with that, you can actually share your thoughts on the video we just watched.
Well, insecurity in Nigeria is a multidimensional issue, and rising from the case of banditry, Boko Haram in the days of kidnappings, Niger militancy, and all of that. So it has become a case that you cannot x-ray in one single term. To me, Nigerians are beginning to worry what exactly insecurity stands for. Is it for the ransom, or is it for the lives? So now at the point, it's no longer for the ransom. It is actually combined ransom and none for lives, because most times even ransoms are paid and then lives are still, being killed for no reasons. So we begin to understand that sometimes it is political. Of course, when a country like this, like in Nigeria, insecurity lasted for more than decades, it is no longer normal. It is becoming more political. And Nigerians are beginning to say that for them, uh, insecurity does not just exist. What they see as insecurity is interest of political stakeholders, opinion leaders, and even the religious leaders. I think that is what they see insecurity, the selfish interest of political leaders, chieftains, and opinion leaders that has become the clashes of what we see as insecurity today. That is what Nigerians have come to believe.
Okay, so what's
But
your
when you
thoughts?
mention, excuse me, Usina, when you mention politics, politicization and all that, what do you exactly mean? Because some people would tell you that that is somehow escapist to blame politics on these things. Are there some pointers to tell us how this is politics?
Well, with the recent development, and then you have just listened to what the speaker just said, sorry, a House of Rep member. I'm coming to that actually. Just to draw a line to that, telling you that even among the 360 members in the House, just one single member is writing a letter of commendation when indeed the country is in deep mess in terms of insecurity. And also we have seen most times that the aloofness of Mr. President's appointees, even in the midst of threatening insecurity, their arrogancies and everything, the statement that comes from them, just because they want to feed their tummy, you can understand that lives have been given in exchange of political,
Favors.
of course, favors and positions. So even if the whole Nigerian is dead, Nigerians are dead and they just left to Aso Villa today, believe me that some persons will still come out and say, Your Excellency, you are doing well, just to what? To satisfy their interests. So you see, when we had the case of the last killings, the PDP, the APC, and all of the kind of statements coming from them, even using innocent lives, innocent Nigerians as a means for campaign against the other political parties. And why the other political parties are equally saying, yes, no, the number is not much compared to what you used to have. So you imagine that the interest of political stakeholders. So you can even see that one party can equally influence another one, killings of Nigerians, just to you have reasons to, to campaign against the other. So it is political, like we have seen today.
All right, now do you think we actually have enough, security personnel to, secure the country?
You see, globally, you have to check the forces. Each country, one of the mighties, and you see what they have on ground in terms of the personnel. And most time, you equally check the kind of operations that they engage in. Nigeria have the personnel that is required, at least to a large extent, to mitigate these challenges. But you would draw me to go fully into the discussions of the House of Rep member.
Yes, please go ahead.
Like I said, financial management is one of the area in security sector to achieve what we call effectiveness and appropriate response to securing or to having a legitimate security for a citizen. Where there is no proper management or financial proper management of this, we'll have problems. Like in Nigeria today, if you check what we have had, our budgeting and all of that for the military, Nigeria still remains one of the highest in West Africa. I can tell you that authoritatively, that Nigerian budget put together, West African budget put together, Nigeria stand one of the highest. Not even one of the highest. Nigeria have the highest, not even one of the highest.
But Mr. Onoja, what some people say, including even the honorable member we watched earlier, is that in spite of this military budget, is it commensurate with the result we are seeing?
No, not at all. And I'm coming to that. that Nigeria has one of the highest. But like he told Nigerians, it's a cash cow business. The truth is that we can have all of this. But one of the things that will hamper or not allow the military to achieve a desirable result is, number one, corruption. And when I talk about corruption, I always talked about the lack of maximization of the budget. And that is where the cases lies. Like he said, some persons are coming to just take their own and go. We are in crisis situations, for crying out loud. We don't need anybody to come and stay for 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, 2 years without result. When we have cases like this, what the case should be is deliver and stay. Fair, and there's a way out. That is the way that Nigerians are expecting His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari to have handled the situations, because we have a commander-in-chief seated in Abuja, and we have so many. Look at just yesterday what is happening in Plateau State. Look at recent days what is happening in Kaduna, Abuja, and no heads are not rolling. Nobody have been held accountable as to this is negligence on the part of this person or this and this. So it shows that there's a lacuna in the operations of the military, and one thing that is affecting the military deeply is corruption.
Okay. Now, we hear some of these arrests once in a while and all that, but the impact, some people say, is still not that much. Or to what extent is this helping the fight against insecurity?
Well, kudos to the Nigerian police. At least they've done a bit of what we expect them to do. Unfortunately, we are too quick to react to it at this point. And, you know, it is all about intelligence gathering. And sometimes you have this intelligence, processing it becomes a problem. So I must say that we need more of this intelligence. However, parading the suspects is too early, and then even the act of parading the suspect, like I have said in previous interview, it is not welcomed. Most times, most of the people you paraded, the suspects in quote, become even, their life become in danger, you know, and it will not aid you or give you that desirable results of intelligence you need, because once I know that Mr. A is in this prison, we have had so many prison breaks, we don't know the reasons for it, because some persons are actually behind this act. And when these people are paraded, they already know the whereabouts, they already know the police station that they are detained. They attack the police station, take these people away, and I can tell you that your investigation will be cut short. So I will always advise the Nigerian police that parading the suspect shouldn't be. Most times it is, even when you parade this suspect, that they come out with different, statement that they are not part of it, and they cannot even give you that result you want again. So I will always say that while they are actually carrying out their duties on the ground, they should equally ensure that they have concrete evidence against the suspect before parading them.
All right, so what's your take on the security agencies revealing their plans before, acting on it?
To me, the security agents we have in Nigeria, our agencies have so far failed in terms of their operations. And then to reveal the operations, it is also high time, like I said, to rejig the heads of this service, of these agencies. Because in the earlier days, we talked about how to, also look at those service chiefs that are involved in this whole thing, because it falls back to their table. Even when they review the implementations, also still fall back to them. So I always say that we cannot have intelligence and give to a non-intelligent person. So we need actors who can come in and display whatever they know best to do as regards giving us results. So to me, reviewing the operations of the military, paramilitary, put together joint task force, we equally require that the head of the service chiefs also should be looked at of who should come in and who should go. Because some of them, I discovered that at the point of entry, they show capacity. But once they get into the office, they come relax, take some of the national cake, and then they find their way out. So I'm sorry to say that, like I said in my earlier statement, corruption is one of the problems we have. For the first time in our history, we had previous administrations saying that the things that those budgets or some of these things that they say they have been budgeted for, but even appropriation made and nothing was found on ground when he resumed office. I'm talking about the late Chief of Army Staff. He came in and said, come, this is what you people told me was on grant, but nothing of such. But there was budget for it. Till today, do we have the government prosecuting? Do we have the National Assembly coming up with statements?
So what is, let me hold you there. Was it difficult to actually probe these security expenditures?
Well, it is the will. Mr. President, they need a strong political will to come up and say, this is what we want. Because unfortunately, the security systems today have been politicized. So, you know, it is me and you. So it becomes very difficult for me to equally probe you when you are involved, and it becomes equally difficult for me to probe me when I am involved. So it is you rub my back, I rub your back. Otherwise, the security we know is supposed to be the army we know is supposed to be an independent body that fights for a just cause, unwanted together to fight for the city, for the nation. But we're not seeing it in that direction today. So I expect that Mr. President to take decisions as to whether these service chiefs should still remain or they should be shown their way out.
Now, you talked about corruption in security agencies. Now, some have actually said, is it possible for the government not to be fully aware of what is actually going on? Because some have actually said that the service chiefs are afraid of telling, you know, political leaders the truth about the actual situation, so they're not removed from office.
I think that claim is false. I don't think so. They are not telling themselves truth for their selfish reasons. So we must get to the truth of the matter, that one service chief comes and tells somebody that, sir, this is what is on ground, and then you tell me that that person is going to be removed. No, even when the person faulted, when the person is guilty, nothing will happen. Have you forgotten? I asked my Inspector General of Police to resume in Benue, but he was never in Benue. What happened to the Inspector General of Police? So let me just tell you, there's no deterrent as to show, if you do this, this is the consequences. No, we are in the same camp together. And that's why so many people begin to accuse His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, because he's not taking decisive actions on what to do when someone is found guilty. Nigerians were expecting that, come on, let every other, just like every other person, let the former Chief of Army Staff, Buratai, also be probed. Was there anything like that? No. So we should now start looking at it that it's not just about the service chiefs. It's about the will of the president to do the needful. Because it took almost a year. If you're talking about, please, this service chiefs has to go. They have overstayed. They have done this. They have done that. At just the tail end, he removed the... Although we got results at the early stage of their entry. But today, they are relaxed. Nothing is happening. And then, like I talked about, the maximization of the security budget is one thing that we must look at. If that is not done, how do you checkmate the corruption, systemic corruption, political corruption ongoing in the military? You can't checkmate those things because you have, for example, 430-something billion allocated to only the Nigerian military. What is the appropriation for? Now, what is the expenditures they have put, the capital expenditures? And then you now check and do your plus and minus. You discover that the whole lot of money is going into private pockets that is not allocated for.
But Mr. Onoja, beyond this maximization of budget, some say the security forces are overwhelmed by the pockets of many crises happening from the southeast, you know, northeast, northwest, and almost everywhere. The last time the Chief of Defense Staff was talking about almost all the states of the Federation. Don't you think that is because of this overwhelming situation, or how is it contributing to our compounding our problems?
I agreed that when you have a multi-dimensional issues leading to a particular case, you'll be overwhelmed. Agreed. But we have presence of all the formations in all the states. Are you in me? There is presence of DSS in the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. We have the NIA, we have the police, we have all the things. So it's not like we have Abuja as the headquarters of all these formations, and for that reason, it is only Abuja that we have presence of the military. No. What they lack is proper or analyzing intelligence. Processing and analyzing intelligence is one of the problems we have. We have lost intelligence gathering. So what is the duty of the DSS? What is the duty of the NIA? What is the duty of the Defense Military Intelligence? When we have all of these formations, do we have any formations compared to Kaduna State? So where were there when all these things were happening? Sorry to digress a little. That even in the incident that happened last week, there were local intels coming from this people and said, come, we saw some persons in the large numbers on motorcycles. This intelligence were not processed. So it took them unaware that these people that they said they talked about few days have just striked. So it is for them to meet up the responsibility in terms of intelligence gathering, processing this intelligence, analyzing those intelligence, and act on those intelligence. But when their case is like having an intelligence and giving it to a non-intelligent person. That is just the case they are facing.
Most people would actually say the problem of Nigeria is, implementation. They find it difficult to implement. But aside that, do you think, you talked about one of the problems, do you think rivalry among security agencies, has actually killed the spirit of, fighting a common enemy as well?
Well, everybody wants to take the glory. Everybody wants to take the glory. For instance, what we have the military fighting today shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been. They have mandates. What is the duty of the Nigerian police? So, what are the mandates of the Nigerian army? Are they supposed to be? Are they supposed to be in the internal security of the nation? The answer is no. We are not fighting war. But unfortunately, we find ourselves in the midst of war. That our homegrown terrorists have outweighed us, that we are not fighting. Those we said untrained militias are now combating our army headlong, and they're even some of these personnel are even pulling their uniforms in a train, or to just said we are not part of these people, to save their lives. People will say they are untrained. Combating people will say we spend money to train. So you can imagine the irony. And we are not saying that there's rivalry. I think the whole thing is who to take the glory, and not just by the glory, but because of the huge funds involved in going to the front burner. Being at the front burner, I'll be giving the highest. Are you in me? So when you check the budgeting of the Nigerian army in recent times, from the days of these insurgents, you discover that it's growing. And some other agents want to come up and say, oh, let's do this, so that ours can equally grow. So there's no true spirit of fighting insurgents. There's no true spirit of fighting terrorism. What we have is a spirit of collecting. A spirit we have had enough in this country, where we have people in the theater field and said, our commander collected money. They almost shot him to death. Because of what? He has collected money, given the discretion of his boys. So he will just send his boys and go and kill them. Some of these commanders, some of these generals have to be probed. They have to be properly investigated. How their hands are cleaned off from this mess we find ourselves. Because it has become a business. And like I said, or like I will, let me better put, like I will follow, it becomes a cash cow business.
Mr. Onoja, you just made reference to the attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train service. And then these days, almost hardly a week passes without a story about an abduction in Kuje, in Kwali, all the suburbs of the FCT. How safe, or should I say unsafe, is Abuja?
Abuja is not safe. And that is one of the pain I have. That where we have a commander-in-chief seated, a general who would have deployed his war strategies as to how to direct this head of service chiefs with his experience to see how he can mitigate these challenges. Unfortunately, the chief is no longer acting. And it calls on Nigerians that this is a chief we have had about. This is a chief that we said he can hit the ground running. What has happened to the chief? So many Nigerians are worried. Is this the same chief we used to know? Or is not the same chief? So Abuja is not longer safe. How would you think Abuja is safe? Where Abuja would have been safe is having Kaduna safe first. For he who will preach to someone or who will deliver someone, sorry to go back to the Bible, where the thief said, if you will first deliver yourself first, and then you deliver me. So if you are not able to deliver all the neighboring states around you, look at Nasarawa, look at Kaduna, look at Niger, those states look at Plateau, those states that are closer to you, if you cannot have a clearance operations just to at least get rid of those boys far from your territory, then how do you think you are safe? Abuja is not safe. Under his watch, they came here and they abducted and they strike at University of Abuja. Under his watch, Kwali was attacked. Under his watch, Barriera Council was attacked. Under his watch, FCT here has been attacked. So what else do you think that have not happened?
Okay, so do you think hiring mercenaries is a solution?
By this time, if not for pride, the ECOMOG soldiers should have been invited. By this time, when we are failing, when our security agencies are failing, the ECOMOG soldiers should have been invited. But it will not come. You know why? It is political. It is political. That this fight continue. As long as it continues, the borrowing continues. And we keep borrowing to go our sorrowing. We keep borrowing to fund budgets of our military to ensure that they fight for a fight that will never come to an end, provided they are in service. So until we start dealing decisively with people who should be held accountable, we will not get result. The CBN came up and said, we found some millions in an account of one of the soldiers. How did this happen? Some persons have come to testify that they kidnapped the mother. When it was time for ransom to pay, it was unfortunate. The first ransom they paid, it was a soldier that collected it. So we have had people involved deeply into terrorism. We have had deeply. We have an individual who have gone around the camps of all these people and said, the military knows their whereabouts. So if we want to end this fight, why not we hit this camp? Must we wait till they come to hit us? Was there an opposition? Was there a contrary statement to when Gumi said, the military knows the camps? I am not the only one that knows the camps. We see him go to them, go to the field, discuss with them, and come back. But we even have people escorting him, military, paramilitary, police, soldiers, escort him to the bush to discuss with these people. Yet, we keep deceiving Nigerians. We don't know the whereabouts. By the time they hit in Kaduna, we run there. By the time they hit in Plateau, we run there. But what happened to the camps they took you to? That you know their whereabouts and you cannot hit them. Are we actually fighting terrorism? That's the question I leave to Nigerians today. Are we fighting terrorism? In economics, some call it Cobra effect. They try to say they want to solve the problem, but in an attempt to solve the problem, they worsen the problem. That is what I see the military doing in Nigeria.
That has been really engaging conversation with you, Mr. Onoja, this morning.
Thank you.
And just before I sign off, this issue that you just mentioned is something also that the Kaduna State Governor, Nasiru El-Rufai, who is a member of the ruling party, has said, that is, the camps are known. But then at the same time, the government gives itself a pass mark. Do you think it deserves this pass mark on security?
You know, that's a local adage from my place, that when a lizard falls from a tree and comes to the ground, it noses its head even when no one praises him. He said, I have tried. So even in failure, some persons are taking courage to say, we have done well. But I tell you the truth, they are deceiving themselves. And like I said from my opening statement, it is the arrogancy and the aloofness of Mr. President appointees that have put him in this mess. Because even in threatening insecurity situations, we see young people claiming to be aides and said His Excellency is doing well. When we say he's doing well, in what capacity, in what area is he doing well? If I have failed, I have failed. I take over the fame and I equally take responsibility for the shame. So we are not saying that he is not trying. But in areas of security, which is fundamental for any flourishing nation, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, they have failed. And we are saying if they must get it right, it is right, the time is still right to rejig the heads of the service chiefs to have a way forward. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Onoja, we're not ready to let you go just yet. Talking about the lead story on Daily Trust, there's a story here that says that NRC ignored warnings on planned attack of the Abuja-Kaduna Railway. And we also have the MD, admitting to have received the alert. What could have been done to divert this particular incident? And we're actually saying that, the service has been suspended and everything, and he's saying that the suspension is not a solution.
You see, the suspension of service is not a solution, like he said. The best solution for him would have been he's sacked or he's removed from office. That's one of the solutions for him. It's not about suspending service. It's about suspending him from office or dismissing him from office.
As a deterrent.
As a deterrent to others. And again, I must tell you that it is the lacuna in the operations and the mouth-watering promises of this government that has failed us. How does it work? Or how did it come to stay? When you are building a rail station, it's so unfortunate that we have a minister coming at this point to say he has requested for 3 billion naira for the installations of surveillance security around the tracks. What is this, for crying out loud? Shouldn't have been in the process of building these railways. Is it now you're coming? And Mr. President have not given any directive apart from the paper directives that has no influence or that have nothing to do with Nigerians. We must let go of this cultural display, visiting the scene of crime, visiting victims, and saying we are on top of the situation. How long would we be on top of the situation? Please go under the situation. Let head rose. Let the head of those people who are supposed to be responsible for putting those things in order rose. Until this thing happens, we will not get result. Number one, we are told that at every point of movement from one destination to another, there will be escort of helicopters. How often have these promises been kept? Nigerians are not questioning anything. The government has to be sued for the damage of these people. Government, and we don't have human rights activist lawyers now coming up to say anything again. It is in their pocket they come to speak. What happened to the lives that are lost? Family lost their lives in that train. What is the compensation of government to these people? What is it? So we are not talking about suspension of service per se. It should be suspension of personnel, sacking of the managing director of the National Railway Corporation, and asking the Minister of Transportation, at what point are you bringing this 3-point-something billion? Is it different from the approved budget for this railway construction? Can't we have people questioning these people? Must we continue in this direction? So I think it is just becoming a child's play. Nigerians are becoming to believe that the integrity we put in power is no longer the integrity we are seeing today.
Now, the tracks are actually being rebuilt now, but will Nigerians trust, the railway corporation to, travel by rail anymore?
The issue of trust have long ago gone. Nigeria have lost trust, for crying out loud. Do you have trust as a person if you might be sincere to yourself? Will you allow your son, your daughter to apply that truth? The answer is no. But because they have no choice. The road has already been constrained with so much of insurgency. The rail tracks, the rail station is already gone. even down to the air, talking about the Kaduna International Airport was attacked. Where do we go to? Must everybody become a witch or a witchcraft and fly in the night? And even at that, you can still be shot. So at the case of trust, Nigerians have lost trust on this government. And not until this trust is regained, insecurity cannot be sustained. Insecurity will continue. Because until Nigerians begin to see genuine approach to cases and to issues holistically, then they can now say, yes. Nigerians have one of the best intelligence. You see those people you see at the clubhouse, you see those young boys you see around your street in the morning taking something, you see those young women that goes to farm, you see those young men that drives around the city, the intelligence they have. Unfortunately, some of these people we call service thieves. So, sorry, not service thieves, I mean service chiefs. These people we call service chiefs don't have it. They are the real people. Not until you go to where the natives are concentrated, you have no intelligence.
Well, aren't the natives the informants?
The natives would have been the best informants, but because they lost interest and they lost trust on the real mindset of our security agencies, it's a reason they have retained themselves. Otherwise, it would have been see something, you say something. But in the case of you say something and you become a victim, then there is no trust.
But the security agencies often say that they are not witches as well, and that they won't and they can't be everywhere. They need this information from the public. And don't you think that it is also a civic responsibility to share this information, and not sharing would mean hindering the job of the security agencies?
Well, I see that it's supposed to be a power above body, where Nigerians share these informations with relevant agencies for them to act. But the question here is, when you give these informations, what is the response system here in Nigeria? What is the response system? Where we have police officers who take arms and give to robbers to go rob and return back. I mean, you are giving an information, an intelligence report to someone who is giving arms to robbers, criminals to go and rob and return. Are you not aware of the police officers who was involved in this? So to me, I don't see it as a case of the Nigerians not ready to share information. Nigerians are ready to share information, but the problem is, are these people ready to act in accordance to the law?
In light of the Boko Haram situation and the increased banditry in the north in particular, what's the future of Nigeria in this?
I see that Nigerians, as it is, they have a solution halfway. The future depends largely on the changes that we see in our present-day operations. Like so many Nigerians have said, they're no longer going to open up because of the situations, the threatening situations that they find themselves. I think in the adjoining days, if Nigerians begin to see clearance operations through spirit of security coming over to Nigerians, we will expect that Nigerians will begin to have this belief that the country is fighting a just cause. But then, the future, the negative aspect of it is that with the continual fight of this terrorism, the country Nigeria will not have value in the global index of economy. Economy will be dead, nothing will flourish. And then our borrowing strategies will grow from bad to worse. And then we will not have a country to return back in the days to come. So Nigerians, as it is, should be very, very sensitive on the continuous fight, because imagine the infrastructures that have been destroyed so far for over 10, 15 years now.
It will take another 20, 30 years to put these things in order. And that shows that Nigeria as it is going to return back to no longer a case of independence. We are going to return back to how we are like a baby trying to learn how to crawl. So I believe that we should not get to that level where we cannot equally put our infrastructures in place, like our dead refineries. So if we have come to that level where we cannot resuscitate certain facilities that have been damaged, prisons, constructions, and all of these government facilities have been destroyed. If they start attacking ministries today, it will take them another 50 years to have a ministry. It will have another impact on the economy of the country. So I believe that the future will be determined with the present realities on ground.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jonathan Onoja, for joining us on Daybreak today. We hope to have you, next time.